Hey folks, welcome to another review with yours truly, Sam Healy. Today we're taking a look at Resist from 25th Century Games. It is a solo player game, so only one player can play it at a time, but it's pretty interesting, so let's get down to the table and I'll show you how it works. In a game of Resist, you are leading a group of freedom fighters that are represented by this deck of cards here that will be different freedom fighters in your group. You'll also have a pile of recruits that you'll be able to use as well, but a certain number of spies have already infiltrated your group, and these spy cards will basically just gum up your deck. You'll start with 4 missions that are already out on the board, and each of those missions will tell you how many enemy cards are placed at those specific missions up here at the top of the play area. You'll also have a deck of mission cards that will be used to refill once you have defeated some of these other missions. A new mission will come out, and so forth and so on. What you're trying to do is you're trying to score a certain number of points that will equate to either a draw, a minor victory, a major victory, or an epic victory. Each one of the missions will score you a number of victory points, and once you have defeated those missions, they'll go into a pile over here. The first in-game condition is that what I just stated, you choose to end the resistance. You haven't been defeated yet, but you choose to end the resistance, and you see how many points you have at that point. The second way comes in a number of fashions. First of all, if you fail 2 missions, then that is the end of the game. You have lost. If you lose 5 civilians, so in this graveyard deck, there are civilian cards in here. Some of them say 0 civilians. Others say 1, 2, or 3 civilians. And sometimes some of these enemy cards, sometimes the mission itself, will have you turn over a number of these. If the number of civilians that have died in your raids ever reaches 5, then you have lost the game. And if you ever draw your hand at the beginning of a round and they are all spy cards, then that is another way that you have lost the game as well. You'll not total your points, you're just done. So each round in Resist is played out in 4 different phases. The first is your plan phase, where you're going to take Maquis cards out of your hand and play them face down. And you're also going to choose a mission that you're going to attack that round. Then there will be an attack phase where the defend effects of certain missions will fire off. Defend effects of enemies will fire off. And then you'll also be able to have another chance to play more Maquis out of your hand to hopefully defeat the targets that are there. A combination of enemies and the mission, or just the mission. You don't have to defeat all of the enemies at a mission in order to defeat that mission. Then there will be an aftermath where you check for your civilian losses if you had to change or if you had to flip over any civilian cards. You'll look at the mission outcome, and if you have failed 2 missions at that point, then that's when you lose the game. And then that's where you'll also be able to decide if you're going to end the resistance, count up your points, and see what happens. And then you'll have a recover phase if you haven't ended the resistance or lost at that point, where you will clean up the Maquis that you used, draw up a new hand of 5 cards, and then you will then check for a spy loss, where you will draw all 5 cards, and all 5 cards are spies. Then, if you've not lost at that point, you go through back with your plan phase, your attack phase, and so forth and so on, until you have either lost the game or you choose to end the resistance. Each one of your Maquis will have 2 sides on them. They will have a hidden side and a revealed side. If you choose to use them as the hidden side, they will stay in your deck, and you'll be able to continually use them for other missions as they come back up. But if you choose to use their revealed side, it is a little bit more powerful, and their abilities down here are more powerful, But once the mission is over, they will go into your revealed discard pile and you won't be able to use them anymore. So that is one of the things that you have to take into account when you're playing your Maquis, is that you'll either want to use them on their hidden side or their revealed side. Now, some of them have plan abilities that can be used in the planning phase. Other ones have plan or attack abilities that can be used in either one of those two phases. If there is no special ability, then this person can be played at any time in the plan phase or the attack phase, and they'll use their more powerful combat value up here. This one specifically says that he has to be used in the attack phase. So there are those things that are happening, all right? So you have to pay attention to when they say that they can be played on these cards. For example, Manuel here can be played in the plan or the attack phase, but that's his revealed side. If you want to use his hidden side, then he can only be played in the plan phase. So just to play out a simple first round here, we're going to take a look at what we're going to do, and some of these abilities you're going to be able to flip one or two face down enemies at the mission face up, then discard one of them. So let's go ahead and play Domingo down here in the plan phase. He is hidden, and is hidden in the plan phase, says flip one or two face down enemies. Well, we're going to go ahead and flip these two face down enemies right here, and then we can discard one of them. So we have a defend ability and a survive ability. So the survive ability basically says shuffle all hidden Maquis in play and remove one of them from the game. So this guy's going to take out one of your hidden Maquis at the end of this battle. The defend ability is you must defeat all grunts before you defeat other enemies. So if we're trying to defeat these people, we have to take him out first before we can have a chance of taking out the military guy here. The defendability here on the mission says when this mission is chosen, immediately choose a Maquis card, not a spy, from your hand and discard it. So we'll have to get rid of one of these cards if we attack that one. So we're going to go ahead and do the plan there. It has a defense of 5. And then you also have a grunt that has a defense of 1 and a military that has a defense of 3. So if we want to take everything out here, we'll have to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of combat ability. And we only have 1 right now from from Domingo. So what we're also going to do here is we'll play Manuela down here, but we'll use her hidden side, and it's in the plan phase, so we can draw 1 card from the hidden deck, so we'll do that. Sagrario is in the hand now, and I can also do some pretty neat things. She has equal combat value, but she only has a power on her revealed side. So that one's a good one. So now we have 2 of our 9. We are going to go ahead and play Manuel on his hidden side, and he says flip all enemies at one mission face up. So I think we're going to look ahead a little bit, and we're going to flip these guys over here just to see what might be happening over on this one. Wow, a lot of counter-terrorists here, a jailer and a radio operator. So counter-terrorists are a couple of those kinds of people that will make us flip over civilian cards. So that's pretty nasty. We're going to go ahead and declare that we're going to choose this mission to fight. So we're going to go try to destroy the bunker. And so now we go into the attack phase. So when this mission is chosen, immediately choose a Maquis card, not a spy, from your hand and discard it. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of Sagrario, and we'll put her in the discard pile right over here. Then we'll be able to play more Maquis and use their attack abilities. So we're going to play Abel here, and we're going to keep him hidden, but he has an attack ability, and he says that he is +1 attack for each revealed Maquis in play. We're also going to reveal Nicholas, and he is a revealed one because he's going to be 4, and we're going to use him. So this guy is a +1. So he's a 2. And then everybody else is a 1, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 is 9. So now we're going to be able to take our combat ability and defeat things over here, or targets, defeat targets that are in play. So this guy has to be taken out first if we're going to defeat any other enemies. So he costs 1. So we are down to 8 combat power. And now we're going to defeat this guy because we don't want to flip over any civilians. And then we're going to be able to, so that's 4 altogether. So we were at 9, we're now down to 5, and we have enough to take out this one as well. So we were able to take that out. So this comes into our discarded missions pile, our completed missions pile, and we're able to get that done. Now we come to civilian loss. We didn't have any civilian loss. We did win the mission, so we got to do that. Are we going to end the resistance? Of course not. We just came off of a pretty big victory, so that's not going to happen either. These guys are going to come over here into a discard pile. These are going to go into our discard pile and not our revealed pile. The survivability of the military said that we were going to shuffle Maquis in play, but that's only if he survives the encounter. He did not. We took him out. So these will go over here into the discard pile, and then the revealed one here will go into the revealed discard pile because we won't be able to use him anymore in the game. So now we've cleaned up all of our Maquis. We're going to draw a hand of 5 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we are also going to reveal a new mission since we took that one out. And we look to see how many enemy cards go down. So we have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards there at this mission because that's what the mission calls for. And now we're able to begin another round. And that's basically how the game will continue until, like we said earlier, you choose to end the resistance, count up your points, and see how well you did according to the result table that's here in the rule book. Or if you fail 2 missions, then you have lost the game. If the number of civilian cards that you have lost due to attrition is ever 5, then you'll lose the game that way as well. Or if you draw a hand full of spies, and if that's the case, then you also have lost. So that's about that for a game of Resist. Now, I didn't go over everything that's, every little bit of minutia that's in the game. There's not a whole lot of minutia, by the way. It is a pretty straightforward title, and how you play the game is fairly simple, but I didn't go over everything, so keep that in mind. You will have to go through the real rule book and make sure you catch all those little things that I may have left out. But I just wanted to give you a general idea of how the game plays, and I hope I did so. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my final thoughts section. And basically what we're talking about here is a solo game. Now, I'm not really a solo gamer, so you'll have to take what I say with a little bit of a grain of salt because I'm coming at it from a little bit of a different perspective, if I can say that. Usually when I play board games, I want to play games for the interaction around the table. I don't necessarily want to just play the game. So more often than not, if I'm at a table with physical components, I want other people with me so that I can enjoy the experience of the interaction along with the experience of the game. And usually I want both of those, not just one. So, with that being said, why in the world, you may be asking, did you want to review a solo game? Well, I have to say the theme of this game really reached out to me. I like historically based games. I like the themes where there is a group of resistance fighters that are going up against the establishment. I like all of those kinds of things. The artwork reached out to me as well. And I also like 25th Century Games. They're a publisher that put out games that I usually tend to enjoy. So I was willing to give it a fair shake. My first pro of the game is the fact that it is a simple game to play. It's not overly complicated, but it is still challenging. So I guess that's kind of 2 pros for me, and we'll develop both of them. What I mean by it's not overly complicated is that often, at least the solo games or the solo modes that I've experienced, that I've read about in the rule books or that I have tried out. They seem to have injected some complexity into the system because they want to try to make it more difficult for you or more of a challenge. And that's one of the things that's kind of turned me off from solo games in the past, is that there just seems to be a level of complexity that is added to a solo mode so that they can make it more difficult for the person trying it by themselves. They don't have the hive mind with them. I don't know what it might be, but that's just the idea that I've had. This game doesn't do that. The rules were very straightforward, very simple to understand, not difficult at all. The mechanisms that are employed are not difficult at all. It's rather procedural, so it keeps you on track that way. It's just but even though it's simple, it is still challenging. I have yet to beat this game, and I came close. I came close to beating one of the scenarios, the first scenario, but I had to try it twice. And I still failed both times, but I got closer the second time. So that does provide some hope for the future. I don't know that it's too difficult. I don't think it is. I've never won a game, but I've never felt like there's no way I could have beat the game. I definitely saw places where I made mistakes, and I can seek to correct those mistakes in future plays. But it never felt like it was too difficult. It never felt hopeless. And that's why I like it. But it was still challenging. The third pro is something that I have already mentioned. It had a very cartoony artwork to it, but it was the kind of cartoony artwork that lended itself to reality, if that makes any sense. It wasn't so cartoony that it looked fake, but it was still cartoony. I know that's really a strange way to go about describing artwork, but artwork can be very subjective, and an artwork that really appeals to one person might totally turn another person off. And so I'm trying to gather my description of the artwork in such a way to say that I enjoyed it. Maybe you won't, but I really did. Each of the different kinds of enemies have different artwork. All of the different all 24 Maquis that come in the deck all had different artwork. The spies all have different artwork as well. So that's a cool thing. Finally, the last pro for me is the fact that the gameplay was enjoyable. Now, I do have to remind you, I'm not a solo gamer. So I can't say that you will enjoy it if you're a solo gamer, but I can say that as a non-solo gamer, I did enjoy it. So this is a game that's probably going to stay in my collection simply because it is a game that I can pull off the shelf and play by myself and know that I'm going to enjoy the experience as I do that, even if I don't have anybody with me. One of the last pro that I'm going to mention is the fact that it does come with a scenario book. Now, I did find out that I prefer using the scenario book rather than just setting up the game and playing through the regular rules. And it's not that one is that much different than the other. I think just from my perspective, it's more fun to play a specific scenario and know that you're either going to win or lose based on these set parameters. All of the other in-game things are there, but if I just beat this thing, then I've beat this scenario and I can move on. So I liked that better than just the regular way to play the game in the rules, but you can do either or. This has, I believe it was 8 standalone scenarios. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, there are 8. Oh, wow. There are 8 standalone scenarios, and then there's also a historical campaign. Wow. I just realized that. I'm going to have to play through that now, too. So that's another reason it's going to stay on my thing. I just saw that it had 8 standalone scenarios. They snuck in that historical campaign in the back, and I didn't see it. That's my bad. So it's definitely going to stay on my shelf now because I want to play through that. One little caveat that I think I will do is that the rule book delineates that there's basically two ways that you can draft your Maquis at the beginning of the game. You can do it randomly and just split the deck up into two decks, and you'll have your recruits on one side and your hidden operatives on the other, and you just have to see how it goes. That I think is that should not be the way that you play the game. I myself will always prefer to, and the other way that they say is to go through and draw 2 cards at a time and choose which one you're going to put into your hidden and which one you're going to put into your recruit deck. And you go through all 24 cards that way, 2 at a time, choosing which one you're going to keep and choosing which one you're going to put in your recruit pile. I think you should really play it that way. It gives a sense of strategy. It gives a sense of tactics to it. Whereas when I tried it the other way, where I just randomly drafted my Maquis, I felt like, well, I don't think I had a chance because I randomly drafted my Maquis. So from after that point, I never did that again, and that's when I really felt like I had hope. I had a foreseeable possibility of defeating the challenge that the game presented me. So all in all, my rating of the game, again, from a non-solo gamer perspective, is 2 thumbs up. I think if you are not already on that solo gamer boat, I think you should give this a try, because it might open you up to the possibilities that solo gaming has for you. It certainly has for me. I'm not going to go all the way in and say that I am definitely a solo gamer now, but I'm not as adverse to it as I once used to be. I can see the value in doing it. I can see much like painting and the miniature gaming hobby is very Zen-like, if I can use that word somewhat improperly. I think that's the experience that I had with this game. And so I think that if you find yourself in that boat of not ever having tried solo games, I think this is probably one that you should give a whirl to. It's not going to be that much of a hit to your pocketbook. It certainly won't be that much of a hit to your time. And I think it'll give you a good peek behind the curtain, as it were. So 2 thumbs up from me for Resist. I really did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to giving those scenarios all a try, including the historical ones that I just found. I'm an idiot. Anyway, thanks for joining me. We certainly appreciate it here, and we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.